You can take my teddy. The October air in Central Park carried the crisp promise of winter, and the trees had begun their slow transformation from green to gold. Marcus Harrison sat on a weathered park bench, his expensive charcoal suit looking out of place among the fallen leaves and casual joggers. The bench felt cold through his tailored jacket, but he didn't move. For the first time in months, he had nowhere urgent to be. The morning had started like any other. Coffee at 6, emails by 6:30, first meeting at 7, but by 10 o'clock, everything had changed. The board meeting that was supposed to be routine had become a battleground. After 15 years of building Harrison Tech from a 2-person startup to a company worth hundreds of millions, the board had voted him out as CEO. Lack of vision for the future, they had said. Disconnected from both employees and customers. The words echoed in his mind as he watched a mother pushing her toddler on a swing nearby, their laughter cutting through his dark thoughts. Marcus had always been proud of his focus, his ability to make tough decisions without getting distracted by emotions. But somewhere along the way, that strength had become a weakness. He had built walls so high around himself that no one could reach him anymore. Not his employees, not his friends, not even the woman he had loved and lost 3 years ago, because he couldn't find time for dinner dates between board meetings. A light drizzle began to fall, and most people in the park opened umbrellas or hurried toward shelter. Marcus stayed where he was, letting the cool droplets settle on his face and hands. The rain felt real in a way that nothing in the office ever did. That's when he noticed her. A little girl, maybe 5 years old, was walking slowly along the path near his bench. She wore a soft pink coat that was clearly a hand-me-down, a bit too large for a small frame, and a knitted hat with a fuzzy pink pom-pom that bobbed as she moved. In her arms, she carried a teddy bear that had obviously been loved for a long time. The bear's golden fur was worn smooth in places from countless hugs, and one of its ears had been carefully repaired with tiny, precise stitches. The child moved with the unhurried curiosity that only children possess, stopping to examine a particularly interesting leaf, then crouching down to watch an aunt carry a crumb across the sidewalk. There was something peaceful about her presence that made Marcus's chest feel less tight for the first time all day. She seemed to be exploring on her own, though Marcus could see a woman sitting on another bench about 50 yards away, reading a book but occasionally glancing up to keep watch. The trust between them was evident, a mother allowing her daughter the freedom to discover the world while staying close enough to keep her safe. As the little girl wandered closer to his bench, she looked up and noticed him sitting there. Her steps slowed, and she studied his face with the serious attention that children give to things that puzzle them. Marcus tried to arrange his expression into something less troubled, but children had a way of seeing through adult pretenses. She approached slowly, stopping just a few feet from his bench. "You look really sad, mister," she said in a voice as gentle as the falling rain. Marcus was startled by her directness. When was the last time anyone had looked at him, really looked at him, and asked about his feelings? His assistant asked about his schedule. His lawyers asked about contracts, his accountant asked about numbers, but no one had asked about his heart in so long that he had almost forgotten he had won. "I suppose I am a little sad," he admitted, surprising himself with his honesty. The little girl nodded as if this made perfect sense. "My mommy says everybody gets sad sometimes, even grown-ups." She hugged her teddy bear closer to her chest. "When I get sad, Benny helps me feel better." "Benny?" Marcus asked. She held up the teddy bear so he could see it better. "This is Benny. He's been my friend since I was a baby. Mommy says he's magic because he makes sad feelings go away." Marcus looked at the well-loved bear with its kind button eyes and carefully mended ear. "He looks like a very good friend." The little girl considered this seriously, then took a step closer. "You know what?" she said, her voice dropping to a whisper as if she was sharing a secret. "You can take my teddy. You look like you need him more than I do right now." The offer hit Marcus like a physical blow. This child, who couldn't have known him for more than 2 minutes, was willing to give away what was clearly her most precious possession to help a complete stranger. The generosity of it, the pure kindness, left him speechless. "Oh, sweetheart," Marcus said softly, his voice catching. "I couldn't take your bear. He belongs with you." But the little girl was already moving closer, carefully placing Benny on the bench beside Marcus. "Mummy says sharing is the most important thing, and you look really, really sad. Sadder than me when I fell off my bike last week." Marcus stared down at the teddy bear sitting beside him, overwhelmed by emotions he had kept buried for years. The bear felt warm and soft when he picked it up, worn smooth by years of love and comfort. There was something about holding it that made the tight knot in his chest begin to loosen. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, looking back at the little girl. "Emma," she replied with a bright smile. "What's yours?" "Marcus," he said, and realized it was the first time in years he had introduced himself without adding Harrison, CEO of Harrison Tech. "Hi, Marcus," Emma said cheerfully. "Benny is really good at listening. You can tell him all your sad thoughts, and he'll help make them smaller." Just then, a woman's voice called across the park. "Emma, come back this way, honey." Emma turned toward her mother's voice, then looked back at Marcus. "That's my mummy. I should go now." She paused, studying his face again. Will you take good care of Benny? I promise, Marcus said, and meant it. Emma beamed at him. He'll take good care of you too. That's what friends do. She waved goodbye and skipped back toward her mother, her pink coat bright against the gray autumn day. Marcus sat alone on the bench, but somehow he felt less alone than he had in years. He held Emma's teddy bear in his hands, marveling at how such a simple gesture from a child could crack open something inside him that had been locked away for so long. For the next hour, he sat there holding Benny and found himself doing something he hadn't done since he was Emma's age. He talked to the teddy bear. He told Benny about the loneliness of success, about building a company while losing himself, about all the relationships he had sacrificed for profit margins and quarterly reports. And somehow, just as Emma had promised, talking to Benny did make the sad thought smaller. As the afternoon sun broke through the clouds, Marcus made a decision. He would find Emma and her mother and return Benny, of course, but he would also do something else, something that the old Marcus Harrison, CEO, would never have considered. He was going to start over. Not with another company, not with another business venture, but with another way of living. He will volunteer at the children's hospital where his sister worked. He would call his college friends and actually show up for dinner this time. He would learn to see the world the way Emma did, full of possibilities for kindness and connection. The next morning, Marcus returned to Central Park at the same time, hoping to find Emma again. She was there, playing near the same bench with her mother watching nearby. When she saw him approaching with Benny in his arms, her face lit up like sunshine. "You look better," she announced happily. And Marcus realized she was right. He did feel better, not fixed, not perfect, but better, more human, more alive. "Thank you, Emma," he said, kneeling down to her level to return her teddy bear. "Benny helped me more than you'll ever know." Emma hugged Benny tight, then looked up at Marcus with wise eyes. "Mummy says helping people makes you feel good inside. Did it make you feel good?" Marcus smiled, a real smile that reached all the way to his eyes. "Yes, Emma. It made me feel very good inside." As he walked away from the park that day, Marcus carried with him something more valuable than any business deal he had ever closed: the memory of a little girl's kindness and the knowledge that sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest changes. He had lost his company, but thanks to Emma and Benny the teddy bear, he had found something far more important. He had found his way back to his own heart.